sensitive topics, the views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in this podcast do not necessarily reflect the official policies or position of Met Radio, Met Media, or Metropolitan State University of Denver. This podcast may include discussions of sensitive or potentially triggering topics. Viewer discretion is advised.
Mature themes. This podcast may contain discussions of mature or sensitive topics that may not be suitable for all audiences. Strategies, suggestions, or opinions shared in this podcast are intended for informational purposes only and do not constitute medical, psychological, or professional advice. Viewers are encouraged to consult a qualified medical professional before acting on any information this podcast may contain. If you are in crisis or need immediate support, please contact a licensed professional or emergency services in your area. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hi, everybody. My name is Livette.
And I'm Riley.
And this is Poli-Pop Talk. Welcome back.
Oh my God, I'm so excited, guys. I have been begging Livette to let me be on her podcast. I feel like every single day. And finally, we picked an episode that I can be a part of.
Yeah, definitely. I needed to because of Black Friday, we missed an episode. So I was
Black Friday.
I'm like, we need to be more consistent because I feel like things never stop and topics are always just growing and growing. So you might as well speak on them. I did just want to take a chance. I know you do listen to the podcast or you have caught a glimpse of it. So I think that you kind of get the gist of what we're trying to do here. I think what's really exciting about us is that, we do have a lot of things in common. There's a lot of knowledge that we kind of fill in for each other.
Yeah, I know the basis of, politics of what I directly need to know and I know is major and going to affect a lot of people. I can relatively talk about that, but for the most part I go to you and I'm like, hey, I don't know what the fuck's going on. Can you explain this for me?
Yeah.
And obviously there must be something I'm doing for you. I mean.
Oh my gosh, yeah, so on the last podcast when we said that we had a source, she's our source. So she briefed us on the NFL and she tried to brief us on the NBA, but then I felt like it was a lot of information. So
never enough information, guys. Remember that? The NBA is super important.
It is super important, yes. I know we've talked about before, I stopped liking sports, after high school, but I had, I was involved with somebody who was super into sports, and then as a sports manager in high school.
Tomatoes on that guy.
Literally. But as a sports manager in high school, it was really a lot of animosity towards you as a girl being around all those guys. So I didn't get to, I enjoyed the sports when the games happened. Playoffs were amazing. Or when I understood really close games. So I love watching the last half of games.
Objectively, if you look at public cast of it and if you're seeing television things, you can see the jump in the final quarter of any NBA basketball game. It shoots up because everybody wants to know what happens in the end.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, exactly. Because I'm interested in the first half or whatever, but it's just not as crucial as what happens at the end, right?
Okay.
I know. It's because I'm not a hardcore sports fan. I used to really like sports. Like I said, in high school, it kind of went away, mostly because of the people. Not the sport itself, because the sport itself, I think that it brings a sense of community and unifies people in a way that's just really cute, actually. I think it's so cute.
Sports are so cute, guys. Sports are for cute people, so Get into it, all right? It is, so cute. If you really, just look at the journals, you hanging out with your friends, playing a game or watching a game that you all love, and then you just talk about it. You eat snacks, and you watch your favorite little game, and you're like, that's my favorite player, and you wear their shirts and stuff. They're cosplaying.
Yeah.
Every sports fan is cosplaying.
Yeah, they have matching outfits.
They're matching outfits, they're hanging out, they're playing games in between, and
Yeah, it is so cute. And then
adorable.
It's it is so adorable. If you think about, when women do things, is there anything comparable that women traditionally do?
Well, for me, personally, it is sports, but,
right.
It's when you, it's book club.
Okay, I was going to say that. That was the only thing that came to mind.
You know how, middle-aged women, in their book club, they all hang out, they talk about something that they love, and they keep talking about the updates in it, and, they start new stuff, and maybe, oh, I really like this book, but I don't love this book. That is, a man following the NFL or having a fantasy football draft, I feel.
Oh, my gosh, yeah. There's actually, there's, a bunch of fandoms, right? And there's, book fandoms.
Yeah.
And I wish I would have paid more attention, but I know my stepsister's really into it, and she has like a bunch, like a whole bookshelf of just like this one author's like whole series. And then the fact that like people are that creative, like they could just keep people engaged through and through and through, I'm like, wow. That's a lot more than throwing around a ball on a 100-yard field of grass.
And guess what, guys? Guess what? We're gonna get into that. Because this is what I mean. This
No
is how
shade, no shade.
No shade, no tea. All shade, all tea. I do, and I understand where you're coming from, and I feel like this is for a lot of people who don't watch sports, which I have to assume it's the same for politics. Like, if you don't understand it, you're less likely to like it. I feel like for a lot of things where it's like, I don't know it, like, it makes me feel dumb not knowing about it, like, I have no interest learning about it. Oh, yeah. I don't like it.
Mm-hmm. Once people start saying numbers, that's how I feel.
Yeah, and it's like a stereotype around. Like, there are stereotypes around political values all the time. It's the same with sports. That is a stereotype where it's like, oh, it's not as hard as doing any of these other things. Like, it can't be that difficult. It's throwing a ball.
It's super difficult,
well,
okay?
But, like, I understand
I'm saying creatively.
Creatively, this is what I'm talking about. And it's, and I understand where you're coming from because, like, it has been restated in media over and over. Of course, you're going to think that that's how it's been projected to the public who are not directly interested in it. Mm-hmm. I totally get it. Because also, if you fall out of love with sports, what was the last level of sports that you loved? High school. Guys, I love high school sports. Mm-hmm. It's not exactly the most astounding thing to watch. And that's okay. It's a bunch of 14-year-olds like who just was in art class.
Hey, every now and then it was astounding every now and then I always like watch good football games. I always like catch the good football games. I'm lucky enough sometimes to be like, oh yeah, I actually did watch that one.
Everybody should watch Alabama versus Auburn.
Okay, college sports is a really great topic. So I have a quick story. So me and my cousin and I, we went to California, and
script editor.
Yeah, literally. My cousin. So we went to California, and he was like, hey, would you want to go to California to go watch the national championship? And I'm thinking, do you remember, there's this Friends episode, and it's like the ultimate fighting champion or something like that, and that's what I thought, but it wasn't. So it was college football. It was Georgia versus somebody at the championship in like 2023 or something.
Oh, shoot, what was 2023?
I think it was.
It was Georgia, but...
Yeah. I have no idea.
I feel real stupid in front of this camera not being able to label that 2023
See what
game.
I mean? Yeah.
No,
it's okay.
But there's 50 million.
You can't know all of them.
I should.
It's college football.
I really should. College football is not my biggest forte. I love college football. It's not my main sport.
Right.
I love football. I think it's amazing. I think it takes a level of skill that I would never be able to compare anything that I do to. We will get into that. I think right now is actually a great time. How do you feel about that?
I was going to say that I think that football does definitely take skill and a level of athleticism that's not just anybody can obtain, right? But I also think this was just kind of something funny. I was thinking about it, and I'm like, I think it's kind of funny how there's a lot of men in sports, right? And men are very super committed to their sports, whether it be they play it or they support a team. But for some reason, when it comes to men and women...
So I see where this is going. And yeah, I think it's just...
It's odd.
It is odd. And I'll say,
so it is possible. I can see it.
I love sports. I do. And I'm super committed to my sports as well. It's just like, imagine you love something from, like, when you were, like, before you were born even. Like, these people are being born into these kind of fandoms. They're fandoms. Right. They're being born into these sports. They're being born into these teams. Like, I was born into being a Minnesota Vikings fan. Now, nobody in their right mind who's not from Minnesota is going to be a Minnesota Vikings fan.
Actually, my cousin is.
Nobody, let me repeat that. Nobody in their right mind.
I think he's pretty right-minded.
But I'm saying that I love the Vikings. Yeah. I'm obsessed with the Vikings. I track everything that they're doing all the time. I follow their cheerleaders on social media, for goodness sakes. I love them. Imagine loving this team from day one of your life, and you are consistently loving it and supporting it every single day. I think it just, like, creates this connection where it's like, it's a part of you now. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't have a choice in the matter. Does it seem like I would choose to spend every weekend doing this of my own volition? I can't. I literally cannot fathom doing anything else. Do I think it's a problem? Hey, side note, what she's comparing this to is men not being loyal to women. that's also a whole other set of problems. But it's also, sports are also a community for them. Sometimes I struggle with saying this, but I think it's important to recognize is a lot of the reason that lots of men act the way they do is because they don't have a supportive community around them. They find that in sports.
Oh, that's so fun that you say that. So when it comes to sense of community, I was actually doing some research, and I seen that statistically speaking, groups of voters, a lot of them vote based on that sense of community, and whether that's the sense of community that comes from like where they live, their town, or like the people they're around, or their social class, or whatever, right? And I think that sense of community really does, I don't think we talk about how much it does develop or like contribute to the development of people. And I think the lack of that is why a lot of people see more difficult times or like, you know, mentally maybe struggling because they don't have that sense of community. And yeah, I think that sense of community just contributes to a lot of things. It contributes to how people vote. It contributes to how people live. It contributes to how people have children, how they raise their children, how they, you know, it goes way deeper than sports.
Yeah, like, I say this to everybody. I said this to you yesterday. I feel like I'm really echoey. Hey, guys, am I echoey? Guys, chat, let me know in the comments below. I'm glad you bring that up. I talked to you about this yesterday. I tell everybody that I pretty much meet is that sports are a reflection of the world, okay? It is like the canary in the mines. If something is happening in sports, it has already been happening in the government. It's been happening in society. It's been happening in your culture. That's what sports is. It's a reflection of the people in it, which inherently people are going to be political and have strong opinions and make these choices, and it's happening in the real world. And because it's such a smaller group, it's more concentrated, you're going to see it faster.
Right.
And it's going to be more obvious because you have 50 million cameras on every single person in that sport. For God's sakes, like, you're seeing the water boy on camera more than, like, anybody you know, which is insane. So, yeah, you're seeing that kind of connection and that culture and, like staying connected, and that's a huge thing in sports. That is a reflection of how things work in the real world. People band together because they like a sense of community. It's why we have neighborhoods, towns, countries. People like to stick together, and people like to be able to put a label on it. People love labels. People are obsessed with labels. They think it's great. That's why they are super fans for specific teams. People love a label.
Yeah.
I love a label. I have 50 million labels on me for every team I like. People like labels. People like being in a community. Sports is the best place to see that, or the most obvious place to see that. And it's the same thing with politics. People like being able to have a label on themselves of, I'm in this group, this is what we do, this is my community, we're all together, we support each other. It's less about, in sports, the team actually, and more about the rest of the fans half the time.
Yeah.
Which I have to assume it's the same in politics. It's about the people around you you're like, yeah, me and this other 10 people in my neighborhood, like, we're on this.
Right. Except I think that people don't identify... I don't think people have a sense of community politically as much as they should or would have in the past. I don't really know. In my imaginary world, there was a euphoric state we were all in, and everyone was just like where they wanted to be, and everything was fine and all happy and stuff, but I don't think that's a real thing. But then that kind of brings us into, like, politics and sports, right? That's why you had mentioned it yesterday, that it's a reflection of our world, because we've seen social movements bleed into the NFL, right? We've seen the 2020 Black Lives Matter movement. We've seen Colin Kaepernick addressing that issue before George Floyd died.
I think the Black Lives Matter movement is just a very great example of the sports effect on politics and politics and society's effect on sports. It goes both ways. The NBA, let's use the NBA specifically as an example. The NBA is like center stage for a lot of things, especially in the United States, obviously. And it's spread international, don't get me wrong. But let's just talk about the United States here. It is huge in the United States. It's one of the biggest things that we have to watch. If you're on TV and it is NBA season, there are 50 million games that are happening that you can watch. And millions of people are watching. So when you see those types of movements on there, not only is it encouraging other people to get connected with those movements, it's also a reflection of this movement has gotten so big in society, they have no choice but to bring a message on it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think we also forget that these players who are choosing to be a part of these movements and be a part of Black Lives Matter and these other situations is because they are people, a part of society. They are bringing it from society into their world of sports.
Right, and because they know their influence and they're aware of it, right?
Yes.
So,
Which I feel like athletes can always be better at it. Hey, if you are in a position of influence and you know it and you're gaining something from that, you have a responsibility to the rest of society to use that to reflect something that you want good in the world.
but when we talk about that politically, you can't really do that as an athlete because you have, on one hand, you have like you're a person and wherever you came from, and you may like have those values and like have this specific ideology that you like carry with you, but you can also be somebody who gets a lot of money and realizes that a certain party's policies are not going to benefit you. Now that in what position you're in, now whatever tax bracket you're in is now the one that it's all of a sudden a tax. So now maybe you change the tune. Kind of like when you see rappers being conservative, right?
Don't get me started on it.
Exactly,
Don't get me
right?
started on
So they have a bunch of money wherever they came from, and all of a sudden they have a bunch of money, and now they're supporting conservatives or, conservative policies, and it's because they now are the people who are going to be paying the consequence of that, even at the expense of people who were in their shoes prior paying the price now, as long as they don't need to lose in that way. So you have that juggle of like, yeah, I have all this influence and I'm from here and my roots and all these things, but then you're like, but realistically I have all this money and I really want to keep this money, and and if you speak out certain times you lose endorsements. Look at what happened to Colin Kaepernick. We can go into that. And his life completely was altered by him just taking a stand. Not a stand.
Not a stand,
but
it gets tricky with athletes or anybody in a position of influence or that kind of level of fame. But with athletes, we'll talk about specifically is that not everybody's a good person right off the bat, or not everybody makes good choices. I think that switching up your tune is lame. It's lame. And I know that's probably not the correct word to use. You're a loser if you do that. That's loser, lame behavior. Don't do that. Because if that kind of money is affecting who you are as a person in your core, you're not the same person who gained that fame. You are now a completely different person. And I feel like fans, I think this is something that's trouble with sports fans as well. Mm-hmm. Parasocial relationships with an athlete is super, super, super common in sports. With teams, with coaches, it's like a really, really big problem. But it's also like it is what the game is at this point, is feeling connected to your team, feeling like you're a part of the team. That's what you want. You want to feel connected with it. And I feel like when they see athletes on their team or their favorite player change their tune and like go against it because they have more money and because it suits them now more selfishly to go with conservative values, they also change their tune. As a fan, above all else, you should not be allowing to that degree someone to affect you without doing your own research. And I know that's so easy to just say. It's really easy to just say.
It is easy to say, but personally, marketing really works on me.
Dude,
I'm just going to say, Core Water, Demi Lovato was on one of their commercials back in the teens, and I was like, I need to drink just Core Water, and I did that for years. And the same thing with Pete Davidson. Once Pete Davidson was on the Smart Water commercial, guess what I drank? Okay, so there's certain things, and it's because I don't know anything about water. I just want water, and I wanted it to be bottled, and they just so happen to be on the commercial, right? So
and
you
don't know
anything about,
you should know about it.
Yeah,
you should know about it because this is a decision that's bigger than water. Mm-hmm. Hey, these social movements, I know it's always marketing works. Hey, super marketing teams for sports are also. They know what they're doing. Everything that you're seeing on camera is pre-planned for the most part, except for the actual game. Mm-hmm. They know what's going on. Let's get into the WWE another time. Okay? Hey guys, love ya. We tight. We will talk about you another time. For right now
with the WWE because it has some.
You're on the back burner right now. I recognize you. Maybe not for this conversation.
Let's just say subtle foreshadowing with the WWE. I think that will make sense in the future for people.
Yeah, oh my God. I feel like I might not. If you don't know about the WWE, dude, we're about to rock your socks off.
I don't know.
We'll get into the WWE later. But it's really hard, and it's something that in sports, it's something that with the level of growth in media that the sports have been, it's something we've really struggled with is as fans and as players and as coaches and blah, 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 is you have to be able to think for yourself in the end. What you think is best for everybody. What is the best situation? And what do I think that is? And, well, this person's doing this, and I want to be a part of the community, and I want to go blah, blah, blah. No. And I know this is really hard. Independent thinking is super, super important. I don't know how to explain it. It's like you want to be independently thinking for the best for your community. And if you're stuck in this echo chamber, which is lots of parts of sports, if you get stuck in this kind of echo chamber, it's really easy to just go along with it, and you really need to just separate yourself sometimes, and it's hard to do from that parasocial relationship that you have in sports, and really just think about what you think is best based on your own research.
Right, and it goes obviously like beyond sports. And I think that the lack of independent thinking and people really having trust or like building that sense of trust or like that sense of like their personality around a person, or a sports team, literally the parallels are crazy. So when you talk about that in the sports teams, then if you think about it and people who are like avid supporters of a politician without naming names, right?
Oh, we're not? Okay.
So, I mean,
I can.
I just feel like I name his name a lot. It's so boring.
I love naming names, guys. It's my favorite activity.
Okay. So people who are Donald Trump supporters, right?
There we go.
So when people are his supporters, they found some kind of sense of identity or something that they identified with within him, right? Or something they related to or something that he said that they just felt like they were finally seen, right? So when we're talking about those people and we're talking about people who are really, engaged in a football team and that's kind of like a sense of their personality, then we kind of realize that if they don't have that like independent thinking, they're going to take whatever comes out of that at face value, right? And a lot of times like this kind of gets us into propaganda. So if we look at the current administration and some of the things that are being put out on Truth Social or on other places and AI stuff, and we look at everything that's being put out, it's really easy for people who have like critical thinking skills or people who are like very like undyingly curious or things are just don't add up or like people who question things and do that independent thinking and take that initiative to do their research. I think that those people, they're not as common. And I think that's how we've gotten here.
Yeah, critical thinking is a skill. It's not something you're like born with. Like,
right.
You're not off the bat as a baby doing critical thinking skills. Like, that's not how it works. It's something you develop. Mm-hmm. Like, people who run a mile in like under like 5 minutes or can run like 3 miles in a row, they practice it and they learn from their mistakes and they keep getting better over and over. It's something you have to keep doing. Right. And that people don't want to do that. It's a lot of work, but it's your future, guys. Yeah. What would you prefer to do is take the easy route and then in the end up in a horrible spot for you and probably the rest of the people around you, or have it be slightly more difficult? It's not even that much more difficult. Be slightly more difficult and end up in a spot where you feel good about the choices you made for your community and you ended up in a spot that is well-deserved. And I think that's hard. And I also want to say this for everybody. I'm not the strongest in like political news. I do my research, what I know that I need to look into. If I've heard of something, I'm like, okay, I need to look into it. Those are my kind of critical thinking skills going on over there. But ultimately, it is not my forte at all. So take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt. Also, you should be using your critical thinking skills right now and looking past this podcast. Do your own research.
Yeah, and a lot of times, so what we've been trying to do, so I'm glad she kind of said that, so we do have in our description resources and things that, like, you'll see things pop up in post of why we're speaking of things. Like, we kind of try to fact check ourselves over here because at the end of the day, like, whether it be our opinions or not, at least you know what contributed to those opinions developing or what contributed to us even talking about this and why we're doing it. Because everything stems from somewhere, right?
Yeah. I'm not making this stuff. I'm not pulling this out of my ass, guys. Like, this is actual information. I'm not making it up. I think I will say this, and I'm going to go in a little bit of a different direction just for this, is obviously just generally, you know more about politics than I do. It's true. So it is probably easier for you to come up with your own opinions and know these different things. I would say as somebody who knows a general amount of information about politics, I also work in news. I would hope I would. But it's almost intimidating and it's almost difficult sometimes to get into sports. And it's like, it sucks to say, but it's like, it makes you feel dumb. It makes me feel dumb when I don't know what I'm talking about. So when things make you dumb, why would you want to learn about it?
Oh, that brings up a good point. So yesterday, we were talking to this reporter, and I think his name was Ryan Murphy. I believe. Yeah. So
I believe it is Ryan Murphy.
Yeah, I actually don't know how I remembered that.
That's crazy, guys.
Yeah, I'm super bad at remembering things. So, anyways, Ryan Murphy, he had said something, and he said that he was interviewing someone, and he asked what a word meant. And he did it because even if he didn't know what that word meant, then that means that people listening also didn't know what that word meant. And if I think about myself in, like, 2019, right, at, like, the ripe age of 19 years old or 18 years old, I really didn't know as much as I did today. It really took that, like, conscious decision of me being like, I have to learn these things. And I have to, like, pay attention. And I have to get in contact with my local party. And I have to learn how local politics works if I want to understand why federal politics is the way it is.
Which, hey, can suck uber bad because that's a lot of work. Guess what? One of us knows way more than the other, and one of them put in the work. And let me tell you, the same person who put in the work also knows more, which is good.
Yeah.
She knows what she's talking about.
And I don't even think that it's so much like textbook things that I know, because like if you test me, like, oh my God.
It's like actual, you're watching the events happen, you're staying up to date, you're learning from the people who are actually doing the stuff.
Exactly. And I'm hearing experiences, and like when you talk about like things like the economy, or when you talk about things like immigration, like everyone has their, which is a good segue. So when you talk about things like immigration, people have their pre-established like opinions, right? But then when you talk about them and you kind of like put things in perspective and you're hearing these experiences from this side and this side, it helps you establish more of like an understanding, and then it helps you establish a better opinion, right? Because you can talk to somebody who has an opposing opinion and be like, I totally understand why you'd feel that way, although I may not agree with you because of XYZ. And it makes, I think, things more productive.
Yeah, and honestly, my opinion has changed by listening to people and how it affects them and blah, blah, blah. I lived up in the mountains for 9 years, and they release wolves up there. And before I moved to Colorado, I'm like, awesome. Yeah, reinstate those wolves. They deserve to be there. And to a degree, I understand that. But then I moved to a ranch area. Hey, guess what happened? All the cattle got killed off. Not all of it, but a lot of the cattle got killed off, and they don't get that money back. So a lot of ranchers got screwed for their seasons of selling their cattle, and they don't get reimbursed a lot of the times. And it's hard to get reimbursed, and you never actually know how much money you're going to get from that. So I went, oh, I totally understand why people would be upset about that, or at least the way it's being done. I might still agree that the wolves should be allowed to be in certain areas, but obviously the way that's happening is not working.
So I'll put the proposition of the wolves being reintroduced into certain areas of Colorado so that people can read what it says. But I remember reading that, and I was like, I like wolves. You know what I mean?
They look cool, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Hey, it's the same thing. Honestly, that's the same way of becoming a sports fan. It's like, like when you're a kid and if you don't have a specific team, it's either, my parents like that team.
Or I like that color.
I like that color.
Yeah.
I like that logo.
Yep.
That's how it goes. And then, but then you're die-hard set on it because you chose it.
Yeah.
Because you chose it, and that was your decision that you were able to make, and now you're going to stick with it. That's how, it's the same thing. It's the same way that people end up sometimes in political parties I'm worried about. It's like, well, this is how my family does it.
Right.
Well, my family does this, so that means I'm doing that, and that means it's the right way. Or like, well, I like that one single thing that person said, so now I'm a diehard. I'm on this side forever in all of eternity.
Well, I prefer blue over red, but that doesn't have anything to do with my registration.
No.
My voter registration,
I would hope
right?
not.
So anyways, that has nothing to do with my political party when I was registering, but some people are so disconnected that sometimes that does have to do with it. And if you prefer a donkey or if you prefer an elephant. And
I like that person's name more than the other one.
Okay, yes.
which is insane.
Yes, literally.
Guys, that's crazy. Don't do that.
No, but people have done that, and I know people who have done that. I know people who are like, oh, I like that last name, or
That's easier to
and-
say. Or,
yeah.
hey, I don't really know what this is talking about, but that one's a smaller answer.
Yeah.
Hey,
So
what are we talking about, guys?
yeah, so definitely when it comes to like elections, which is funny because it's coming up in June, so we're a little bit like what 6 months away, 7? Do you count? You know what?
Guys, I do
We're
it whenever
close.
Livette tells me to.
We're going to vote in June of this
Yay!
upcoming year. And so we're going to vote for a bunch of different things. But what I wanted to say about that voting is there is resources to make things easier. You can literally message us on Instagram and we'll help you. But when it comes to things like that, you can definitely go ahead and just blindly vote, or you can look into it, or you can get it really dumbed down for you if you have to, because at the end of the day, the words that they use and the things that they provide, a lot of times you're not going to understand them. Like, until I had a conversation with somebody about the wolves and they explained to me that, yeah, wolves are cool, but
Hey, this is what's happening.
exactly.
Hey,
Then I was
great
like,
for the wolves,
oh.
really bad for this people over here.
Right.
And this drove everybody in my community up in the mountains to like insanity. Is that most of these votes, where's the largest population in Colorado? Denver. Who's not going to be affected by this whatsoever for the most part? It's Denver, a downtown metropolitan area.
Exactly.
There might be some outskirt areas, I'm not sure, but for the most part, not going to have to deal with the aftermath. So obviously in their head it's like, well, of course I want the wolves because they deserve to be in that area and blah, 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 because it's not in their home. It's not in their backyard.
Well, that contributes to voters that don't live in big cities feeling like they aren't being heard, because they are being affected by a lot of the things that are passing through and legislation that gets passed through. But the thing is, there's not enough of them to make that like big difference or to be heard. So that's why you see them so opposed to progress, because they feel like it's a tax on them. This is obviously assumed, but I would assume they feel like it's a tax on them and their community, because they've constantly seen people like, for example, like cities like Denver or bigger cities make decisions that impact them. And people have no idea. I would have not had an idea. I didn't even think about that at all. And I was like,
Because it's like, it doesn't directly affect you. You stop thinking about it at the moment after you vote. And guys, TW Trump, I'm going to have to bring him up. Like, I have to bring him up is that's kind of what, hey, I don't know what I'm talking about. That's kind of what he ran on. He's like, these small communities, like out in the middle, like those rural areas, these farmers, this blah, blah, blah. I see you don't feel recognized. I'm here to represent you. None of these big city, liberal cities. I'm here to represent you. That's
exactly how he won.
And that is how he won, guys.
Exactly. Because he's seen that they weren't getting heard, and he's seen a way to ignite that anger in them to move towards him and give him that power, because they finally felt that they could identify with him, whether it was because they were white, they were old, they were uneducated, whatever the reason was, they finally felt seen, was the biggest contributing factor to all those people who came out to support Trump and people who continue to support him. And it's just really hard. And I hate that we talk about him so much, literally because there's other people in politics, right, that we can talk about. But the thing is, they are not our president. And we didn't
That's a big guy up there.
Exactly. And we didn't get multiple warnings that ended up being true. And we didn't, like, Kamala Harris warned us about most of the things that are happening right now. And I think that we didn't end up, like, she warned us that he would use our own military against the citizens of this country. And that's literally what's happening when we talk about, like...
Did we see what was going on in D.C.?
Yeah, in D.C. They're getting ready to start new immigration raids in New Orleans.
Guys, don't even... I lived in Louisiana when I was a kid. That is such a horrible plan for the country. Because also, hey, Louisiana, all of the United States is a melting pot. Louisiana is big on culture. Mm-hmm. And you're going to remove the people who've lived their entire lives over there and built the community in the area, who probably work for the oil fields out there. Hey, if you're so pro big oil and you're also pro this, you should not be pro getting rid of all the immigrants down there. That's like the worst plan you could possibly do. Sugarcane fields down there, your sugar supplies. Mm-hmm. Guys, like, sure, do you like sugar? And obviously, they're voting for big oil. Why would you want... It makes me really frustrated, because I also grew up around a lot of immigrants. That was everybody in my neighborhood.
I think people fail to identify how much immigrants impact our economy and the well-being of our economy, and how much they impact the production of the goods that are contributing to the impact in the growth of our economy. But whatever. And I think that the sudden shift in our country between immigrations back then and now is crazy. Do you know that? Let me see if I can find it. But do you know that one Family Guy meme where the cop pulls over Pete, or what's his name? The main Family Guy? Peter.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So
Yes, Peter. I don't watch the show very much, guys.
Oh, okay. So
I'm
there's
more
this
of an
meme.
American Dad kind of person.
Oh, weird.
I
That's like
know.
literally a neighbor of his.
I know they're literally the American. Guys, American Dad is not.
Get out of here. Whatever. Okay. So it reminds me of that meme in that meme from Family Guy where the cop pulls over Peter and he's like,
The shade.
okay, not okay. That's what I feel like people are doing nowadays, and it's kind of, well, ICE is definitely doing it. And if you're speaking Spanish, the Supreme Court.
God forbid.
This is a fun thing. Not fun. I always say fun. When I say that, it's most likely ironically, guys. I'm so sorry. But the Supreme Court passed. Anyways, the Supreme Court made it okay for ICE agents to stop somebody and possibly detain them based on the fact that they're speaking Spanish and their skin tone. They could not use those as determining factors. So that happened a couple months ago, but I'll put it right here just so you guys know. But there's like literally, that's okay if they did carry that around. That's what the Supreme Court said, basically.
That's insane.
Right.
I would also like say, rerouting it to the reason I'm here, sports. Guys, there are so many immigrants in sports, it's insane. If you're in Denver and you're a Nuggets fan, Jokic is not from here, guys. I hate to break it to you.
Oh my gosh, I love him.
He's not from the U.S. And I'm also going to say in the Olympics, half the people on half of our teams are, if you actually look into their history, like they are American citizens, they're not originally from here. Like, it's truly baffling. If you like sports, you need to be aware half the people that you love in sports, especially if you like the Olympics, aren't originally from here.
Yeah.
That's what, like, I can't even bring myself to explain this one more time because it's truly just, you cannot love, I truly believe this, you cannot love sports and also be pro-ice. You can't. It is against the way of sports. Sports is beyond, it's supposed to be beyond where you're from or your backstory or what's happened with your family or religious beliefs or culture. The point is that you love the game and you're good at it. That is the point.
Yeah.
You will look and you'll see a variety of different people out playing different types of sports. And that's what makes it so amazing is that anybody can be a sports fan and anybody has the opportunity, if they really work hard, to get the dream and be in sports. That's the point. It's almost like a smaller version of the American dream. It's a great example of the American dream of what it is supposed to be. It's like the dream of sports is like, if you work hard, you can do it. It's hard, but you can do it. And also, I'll say, for the racial profiling, have we ever looked at the NBA or the NFL? I'll say specifically the NBA. Any of the players. They're not all white, guys. I would beg to say that majority of them are not white. You can't be a sports fan and also be pro getting rid of the people in your sport.
And yeah, but people don't make that connection, right? Because when they're like, because they did it the right way, right?
Yeah, and it's also,
because
it's not
America
you.
gave them a visa to come work here and entertain our people. So yeah, of course, why would I not support that? That's the right way. But when we talk about immigration, when we talk about the right way and how easily accessible it is to people, it realistically isn't that accessible. If you don't have the money to pay for lawyers, if you don't know how to even get started, if you quite literally cross the desert, walk into this country, and you're hoping for the best, do you think somebody's going to be like, here's a bunch of resources and I'm going to give you this and this and this free? No. A lot of times that's not happening. That happens to refugees. But when people are attacking immigrants that are crossing the southern border, it's just so irritating because they don't realize that they didn't come here for handouts. They came here quite literally to work, with their intention to work. If you look at the statistics, you'll see that Hispanics, and a lot of times even, dare I say, Mexicans, are very hard workers. And they work until they die, until the day that they die. And Americans don't oftentimes do that because they get to retire. They get to pay into retirement accounts. They get to benefit from Social Security. They get to do that. You know what immigrants get? To work their asses off and to be told, get out of my country, although you're paying to help supply these benefits to citizens. And it's just a big, like, screw you. Your time's up. It was us. We got our time. We're here. It's not your turn
It's
anymore.
luck of the draw.
Like, no. What made that switch?
Yeah,
it was okay for them, but not us.
Here's the thing. I'm so blanking on his name, and that's horrible of me. I will show you. I'll send you the information of who he is. He plays for the Eagles, the NFL team, the Eagles. He is not originally from here. He's originally from New Zealand. He had never played football a day in his life. They saw a video of him, the team. They brought him over here, helped him get all of his information and stuff to be able to play here and get a visa to play in the NFL. That is the only reason he's here.
Right.
Hey, I love the NFL. I love football as much as the next person. That's not as necessity as we're making it out to be that you need. You need to be doing all these. You need to provide for the community. He's playing a game.
Realistically,
and
at the end of the day.
Let me make this clear. I think he deserves it. He deserves to be here just as much as anybody else who comes to this country to be here. Yeah. Everybody should get the opportunity to at least do their best to be here. And also, if they're providing to the community, and he is. And I'm not saying, I will never put down another person for getting that opportunity just because it's not being provided to other people. What I'm saying is, they are not getting a fair opportunity either way. It doesn't have to be equal, but they all have to have the fair opportunity to come to this country and provide in some way. And some people are getting a head start because it's an entertainment, or it's a sport, or it's for fame or popularity, which is not okay.
Or because they had money.
Yeah. It's a problem.
And then that brings me to another point. So, like, a lot of people, when we're discussing this, like, an opposing side would use the whole, like, well, the criminals and rapists and all them, they don't deserve to come here for a better chance. Obviously not. But that did not bother you when you were electing a president.
That's also, this pisses me off to no end, which this is correct. Hey, remember, if you were against that and you voted for Trump, remember what is legitimately proven that he has done. Let's not forget that. Second off,
34 felonies.
If we're making a general statement where people should have the opportunity to come to this country, and you go, well, what about this niche minor thing that happens sometimes in a blah, blah, blah.
Literally.
The point is the general point. Obviously, there's always like something that happens where it's like, yes, of course, like not that. We're giving you the general statement. Everybody, generally, that's the key word, should have the opportunity. So if you're going to throw in the comments or something, what about this niche little thing? What about the rapists? What about the murderers? I know you know that's not what we're talking about. And this is me telling you that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about in general. In general, most people, I'm going to take the guess. I'm not going to look at a stat. I'm just going to take the guess, are not murderers and rapists.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that's a safe assessment to make.
Oh, yeah.
Most people are not murderers and rapists.
Undocumented immigrants.
Yeah, undocumented immigrants
are not.
Yeah, I'm going to say in general, probably people in the US aren't murderers. I would hope.
I
don't know, guys. I'm not looking at a stat, but I'm going to say generally I'm able to say that. I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm not saying it's not possible. What I'm saying is that generally, just because this one niche thing is happening does not mean we should shut it down for everybody. That is not an absolute.
Right.
So we need to generally let people in and then find a way to deal with the other things like jail. Jail exists, guys. Jail, background checks. Like, these things exist. It doesn't mean shut down everybody from coming into the country. That means, hey, there are things that can be put in place to deal with this other niche thing that obviously everybody is extremely worried about. But generally speaking, people should be able to come here.
People use them coming here not the right way as qualifying them as a criminal to start with. And that's already you're a criminal and you need to go back. And people will defend the point, like, to the very end that they're criminals. They came here illegally. But let me just tell you a quick little story about somebody who tried to get here legally, right? So their brother obtained their citizenship years and years ago. As soon as they obtain their citizenship, once you do that, you do have the ability to apply for a direct family member to get their citizenship as well. So they applied for their brother to get citizenship, and that was years and years ago. Like, I'm talking decades ago. And then this year, they received a letter saying, hey, your brother can finally come to the country, you know, just do this and this, and we're ready to, like, get his application going. He was murdered before they decided to accept him. And I'm not talking about, like, 5 years, 6 months, nothing like that. I'm talking about 15 to 25-year gap. And that's what they give you, an estimate of around that time of processing time. Yeah, you're going to wait a decade or two. And it's like when people's lives are in danger, they know that they have to leave for a better life. That's kind of like ASAP. But nope, not to doing it the right way. According to doing it the right way, you have up to 15 to 25 years to wait. And that's really messed up.
Yeah, no. That shouldn't be happening. People are, if they're in that kind of position where there's like, I need to leave this country, like I need to find a place that is safe and they're coming to the United States, 15 to 25 year wait, they're going to be dead. Yeah. Or something's going to happen to them. Or.
And it's like they know this.
Yeah, that's why the wait, I don't know what I'm talking about. That's probably why the waiting time is that long.
Yeah.
And also there's a large amount of people coming into the country. I can't imagine it's also a well-funded situation of helping people into the country. I'd also like to say, hey, just generally, and I feel like we've beat this horse across media in general. If you're not an Indigenous person, you're not originally from here. My family came here after World War II. Mm. That's not a super lot amount of time. I can't tell you exactly when World War II was, but like it was not that long ago.
It was not that long ago.
It could not have it wasn't like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago.
Yeah.
It in the scheme of the world is fairly recent.
Yeah.
So my family's not originally from here on either side. And I know people it's like, well, like I'm a citizen, and I know people are like their great-grandparents or their grandparents aren't originally from here.
But your color makes it seem like you are.
Yeah. Hey guys, look at me. I'm white. That's why. And hey, these people I'm referencing where I know that their grandparents or their great-grandparents aren't originally from here, they're white. And hey, I'm also not saying it's your fault for being white. Hey, you had no choice in that matter either. It's luck of the draw. I'm
so
you
lucky.
Don't feel guilty for something you don't have control of that, but do understand that. And it's something that like, hey, I have to come to terms with. Like I'm given a step up regardless of anything else that's happening. The only way I could be having more of a step up if I was a man. That is the only possible way. And I'm also not saying, hey, if you're a white man, you also had no choice in that matter. But it is what is important, even though that is not your fault, is that you are being put in a position where you benefit from it, whether or not you're the one who created that system. And if you truly are trying to help the people in your community and help the people in your country, it's that you take responsibility in the sense of, in Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. You have this opportunity to help people. These people that you care about and these people that you love who maybe don't fit into this category, you have the opportunity to help them. So if you see an opportunity to help somebody, you might as well just take it because you already have that benefit of having that protection for the way you look. You are not going to be the one in danger in that situation. You're not going to be the one who's going to be attacked to the same degree. So hey man, I act a fool on the internet all the time talking about this stuff. I'll say whatever I want. I work in the news, for God's sakes. I'm more protected because of the color of my skin, so I know that I'm capable of speaking out in a safer way about these kind of things. Like, I can even say, people watching this podcast, if they are watching it, if they're seeing the video, I would probably get less flack than you. And this isn't even my podcast, guys. I know I'm capable of speaking up, so I should. And if you are in a position to do it, it is not hurting you to say something. It's actually hurting you to say nothing because these people are slowly going to disappear. And then what happens when we're just stuck with us? Who do you think they're going to take next? Especially if you're... And I'm going to say this as a white woman specifically. Hey, you're next. And that sucks to say. You're next in line after that.
Yeah,
so,
there's this quote, and it says, first they started going after, do you know it?
Yes, I do.
What is it? Go ahead. Because I don't know what that means.
I've heard this 50 million times because I think
First, they
think it's
started
tied
going
to
for the Jews, and I didn't say anything. And then they started going for the
guys,
something, and I didn't say anything. And then all of a sudden,
nobody was there to speak up for me.
Exactly. So we'll put it here. It's way better, but once we put it here. But yeah, and that's a really important quote, and something that's always stuck with me as well is, and not as obviously a white person, but I heard this quote a long time ago, and it said, use your voice even if your voice shakes. And I think that I've just always thought about that, and I think that people a lot of times don't do that, and I think that people who kind of just go along with the stereotype and refuse to kind of have any opposing ideas and kind of just go with what has been laid out for them really miss out on that like enjoyment of being able to like develop yourself independently, like we were talking about earlier. And yeah, I just think that things are crazy.
Guys, we can all do better.
Yeah.
We can all do better. And
yeah. With immigration especially, like I think something that's important regardless of how you feel, and like a lot of people like with the criminals, like you don't want criminals in your country or whatever. I get that. I totally get that.
Which that's the media expressing that to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's also usually not an independent thought. That is because you're being told that by the media.
Or the president.
Or the president,
mm-hmm.
who in turn you're hearing it through the media from the president. This is what we just pause. Hey, critical thinking skills, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Look
exactly.
into it. If we actually look at percentages, it's not as big as you're thinking it. The media has a habit of picking out the worst possible things and putting it out because it's like, hey, look, these horrible things that are happening, because that's what gains attention on that story. So obviously we're seeing a lot of bad things that maybe do not make up the majority of what is usually happening.
Exactly.
So continue, I'm sorry.
Immigration. So regardless if you think that people are criminals and shouldn't be in this country, whether you think they should have done it the right way, whether you think really nothing about it, or whether you see ICE raids and don't really think anything about it, or whether you see ICE raids and think that that's like the best thing and you're glorifying it to the very beyond. Whatever you think, at the end of the day, this country has a constitution. And at the end of the day, a lot of people will give me a hard time and be like, oh, well, you're this or you're that, or you just think that because of this. And it's like, no, I quite literally think that because when I was growing up in school and also just reading things, it quite literally says that this country is meant and it was built off the Constitution and meant to protect the Constitution. Everybody who takes an oath of office, like we said in our last episode, the oath is to protect the Constitution. And if the Constitution quite literally says that everybody has the right to due process, it says everybody. It doesn't say American citizens. It doesn't say excluding aliens. Did you know that in ICE detention centers and stuff, and like actually on the website, they call them aliens?
Which is
like that's the official term for them.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
Hey, that's insane.
Yeah.
Guys.
It's just sad.
What are we talking about?
Literally. Undocumented people, don't even refer to them as people. Quite literally alien. Just
whether or not you like them or not, they are still human beings.
Exactly, and that's what a lot of people forget. But like I said, Constitution, the right to due process is for everybody, whether you're an American or you're not an American. What's happening with these ICE raids, people who are American citizens and not American citizens getting taken off the streets so that they can be confirmed as citizens or not at whatever time, like, Homeland Security wants to do that.
Whenever they feel like it.
Yeah, whatever pace. Like, if it's a couple weeks, you're just in detention center, you don't have, like, a life or anything.
Couple weeks, couple months,
yeah.
whatever.
But at the end of the day...
How dark are you again? The darker you are, the longer you're there.
Okay, 6 months to a year.
6 months to a year.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, it really is, like, it's just dwindles down to, like, whatever side you're on, left or right, or in the middle, or you want to go to, like, a different whole another thing. At the end of the day, the Constitution is what this country was built off of. That is what I was told we were meant to protect and live by. So when I see people blatantly breaking the Constitution and parties that used to be so against, like, the government taking any more control than they should.
Truly.
Literally.
It's
now
like
they don't have an issue.
It feels like a flip. I'm like, what
Yeah.
happened?
Exactly.
And I'll say this also. This is the same reason why I love the Statue of Liberty. Guys, I'm so obsessed with the Statue of Liberty. I think she's great.
Have you seen her?
She's my girl. I want to see her so bad.
Oh, I've seen her.
I've never been to her. I would love to meet her. I think she seems like a delightful woman.
Yeah.
The point is that, what does she represent, guys? Liberty and justice for all. Hey, there's a reason she's out over there. It's because that's where immigrants used to come in. Hey, we didn't even make it, guys. We got it from France.
Ellis Island? What was that?
Hey, what's Ellis Island, guys?
If you actually don't know what Ellis Island is, though, it is where all the immigrants from way back when, I'll put the time here, used to come in, and that's where they would have to stop before they were, let into the country and distributed.
My family came in through the East Coast, my dad's side of the family. Hey, that's why there's sometimes a lot of Jewish people on the East Coast, and why there's large pockets. It's because there's a lot of the time they come from the East Coast. That's where they're brought in, and that's where they set up camp, and they've created communities there. My dad's side of the family's Ashkenazi Jew. We came in through that side.
Look at that.
Which is like, hey, man, I wouldn't be here today if it weren't for those kind of places that let my dad's side of the family in. And my mom's side of the family came in farther up north. But on this edge. But the point is, with the Statue of Liberty, liberty and justice for all. To bring me your huddled groups, your hurt, your injured. It's like all of that. It's like the whole point of the Statue of Liberty is bring everyone. If you need help, if you want more opportunity, if you are just trying to find a place to call home, come here. And that is what the Statue of Liberty represents. It is for everybody. That's the whole reason it's over there. So that's directly what we're founded on. And it's also what the rest of the world viewed us as. We didn't make that for ourselves. It was a gift from France.
Exactly.
Because it's, hey, we became a place to hold the people where they felt out of place or they felt endangered somewhere else. Usually
freedom.
Yeah, it's freedom, guys. Not just for American citizens. It's for
Literally.
everybody. And if we look in the Constitution, if we look through the verses and words that are tied to the Statue of Liberty, and I'm sure 50 million other things that I'm not thinking of that represent our country, it is all about for everyone. It does not specify usually. I have to assume that it's just for American citizens. It's for everybody to come here and live out the American dream.
The Pledge of Allegiance.
Guys, oh my God. Don't even get me started on the Pledge of Allegiance.
Fine.
Liberty and justice for all. Hey, quoting it again. It's for everybody.
Yep.
It's not just for one singular group of people who filled out some documents and got approved and got a little stamp on it. It's for everybody. And I know that's sometimes hard to stomach. And I also understand it's hard to stomach sometimes that kind of thought of, hey, I've thought this my entire life. This is what I've been taught to know. This is what I independently chose for myself, and I want to stick by it. And it's hard to go against something that you've decided is correct. Dude.
Very true.
Life is going to be so much better if you truly just sit and think and make sure that you are on the right side of history that you want to be on. Because sometimes I'm stubborn. I'm stubborn as hell, dude. I get it. It's hard to switch your opinion. It's hard to come to terms with the fact, like, oh, that was wrong. That is on me. Like, I was on the wrong side of that. It's even harder to buckle down and stick with that forever and watch it fall. That is so much worse. It is so much better to just stomach the slight embarrassment for just a little bit than have to deal with the aftermath of, I stuck by this, so many people stuck by it. Shoot, we've gone too far. It's happening now.
And I feel and I hope that conservatives of today do cross that threshold.
I don't hate them. Let me make this clear.
No.
I don't hate you for having differing opinions from me. I think that's amazing that we're able to have different opinions in this country, that we're able to have that freedom to independently choose what we think. That is what makes the country great. The problem might lay in sometimes it's as much as we think it is our own choice, it is what we are influenced to choose something that is based off of maybe not the actual truth. And that happens to everybody, and that is not your fault. What is important is that you decide to do your own research and you, once again, use your critical thinking skills and officially decide, like, yes, this is what I'm sticking by, not because of an outward opinion from this person or a non-factual thing over here or because my community is already here or my family thought blah, blah, blah. If you truly, truly believe in something of your own opinion that you've done your own research on, I can live with that. But I feel like a lot of the thing that we're running into the issue of is that that's not happening. It's the same thing with the Wolves, reiterating the Wolves. Hey, if people did their, like, you never had to think about it, but you're like, hey, I want Wolves.
I like wolves.
Heck yeah, I want Wolves. But when you did your own research afterwards, and it's okay to first make the mistake and then figure it out later because you're stopping yourself from making more mistakes.
I don't remember what I voted on for that one.
And honestly, valid.
Yeah.
But for people who did, it's like, yeah, then you thought about it, you went, oh, I'm actually seeing firsthand from these people who are directly being affected by this that this is not good. And I'm doing my own research. And I'm like, oh, maybe the wolves should be here, but maybe it's being done in a way that is possibly putting, like, farmers' families in danger, or the community, or taking money away from the community or something. Now we have that problem to deal with. And I think it's okay to make, if you've made a mistake in the past and you figure out, oh shoot, like I really actually don't think I should have done that. I don't think, and this might just be an optimistic viewpoint, there is always room to turn back and grow. Things can be changed. Things can be, hey, that's why horrible things are being changed all the time here. The same can go the other way around.
Yeah, definitely.
So as long as you learn from your mistake and choose to move forward outside of that mistake, that's all you can do. And guess what? That's way better. That's way better than what you would have ended up doing anyways.
That is true. That's so good. But
Because I'm educated. I'm in school. Sports management.
Yes, so fun. Sports management.
Speaking of sports, what were we talking about for this podcast?
We were supposed to be talking about sports, but I think that we did a pretty good, I don't even know how long we've been recording, but I think we did a pretty good balance of both, and I think we can definitely, like, wrap up soon, but I did want to make a point of whether you do take the initiative to look into things or not, at the end of the day, just be willing to listen to people, and I think that that'll help you a lot, and also, you can understand somebody without having to agree, right? Like, violence is never the answer, but in certain instances, I can understand why someone would do certain things.
Why would
Doesn't mean I agree.
Yeah, why would a wild animal attack somebody?
Right. I understand. I don't agree that they should have, but I understand. And I think that that has really guided me in this journey that, yeah, I can understand you. I just don't agree.
Quick comment, because I actually really did want to make a comment on this about women in sports and stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
And just real quick, hey guys, that's originally why I'm here. I'm a woman in sports.
Yes.
That's why I'm here. I played my entire life, pretty much. My mother played basketball and volleyball through college. She used to be a coach. My grandmother played six-man basketball in college. She was one of the very first teams in the United States to have women play six-man basketball. Don't even get me started on that. It's in my blood. I love sports. I live and breathe them. It is a part of who I am as a person. I choose to have it be a part of my soul. I think it's amazing. I think there's a lot of issues, but I think that it's constantly developing and growing and creating opportunities, which is why I love it. And it's hard. Hey, for everybody watching, not just women, it can be really hard to get into the sport. I originally wanted to play. I had some injuries that created a situation where we kind of had to change paths, which is okay. Hey, it's okay to change your path. So I'm going into sports on, like, the media side. And it's really, really hard for women to break into the industry. Whether or not you directly are seeing it or you think it's real, I will let you know from at least my point, it is real. The glass ceiling exists. And it is something you're constantly going to be fighting against as a woman, is breaking past that glass ceiling to get that competitive edge. Like, I'm doing 50 million side kind of things in networking just to stay afloat, to make sure that I have to be chosen. Like, there's no other option. Just because I'm a woman doesn't mean that you shouldn't choose me. So I'm actually going to speak directly to probably men who are watching this, is recognize that you might have that kind of step up. That doesn't mean you're not good at what you do. I am not saying that you're bad at what you're doing. I'm saying is that a lot of time it's more difficult for women. And if you're in a position of power to choose someone based on their skill set specifically, I would encourage you to do so, whether it be a man or a woman. Because I would also hate it if someone chose me just because I'm a woman. That would piss me off to no end. And I think this is speaking on DEI as well. The whole point of it isn't well, we have to choose a minority. We have to choose a woman. We blah, blah, blah. That's not the point. The point is that you shouldn't be choosing on that. You should be choosing based on skill.
Right.
I have a professor who used to hire people. He used to head Red Rocks, and he used to like do a bunch of our stuff on the East Coast in sports. He would have his like assistants go through and mark out the first name and any he or she in it. They would mark it out in black, so he would not know the gender of the person, and he would go through their information, and that's how he would decide.
And you can't put race on them.
Yeah,
so
strictly based on skill. Part of the reason, and this is insane to think, there's a reason my name is Riley. My parents know it's hard for women, so they chose to give me a gender-neutral name.
Right.
So on paper, it's really hard to tell if I'm a girl.
Right. I had a teacher in high school tell me that the reason why she took so long to change her last name is because they needed to apply for loans to get a house and other things. And she knew that if she had a Hispanic last name, it would be less likely for her to get assisted at the same level and also less likely for her to get a good deal.
Yeah. This is real. This is real. I can't say I've directly had to do with that, but I've heard many stories, and I have friends who tell me stories, and it is real. And that's extremely frustrating. And I want to make this clear. First and foremost, any group where you are being put in a position where you are given less of an opportunity, you have to give yourself that edge. You have to fight, and it sucks. And it sucks to feel like you have to prove yourself every single moment. And I can only speak directly on women right now, but I have to assume it's for everybody. It sucks to have to constantly be proving yourself that you know what you're doing. It hurts. It makes you feel like it's not worth it. It's easier just to go into something they expect you to do. Life will be happier and simpler. The point is that you are creating opportunity not just for yourself. And that sucks that you are now also, because you are fighting, you are not just fighting for yourself to get this opportunity. You're fighting for every person behind you or next to you who is fighting for this position, who is also being put in that position, like women. I can only speak directly on that. I'm also white. I got that opportunity for me. I got that step up. And I'm also speaking now to the men. You should also want to fight for this, because doesn't it suck to think that possibly you didn't deserve your position and you got chosen because you're a man? If you're really good at what you do, then you should not be scared of DEI, because you would have been the correct choice in the first place. Because if you truly deserve that position, whether or not if everybody has the same opportunity, you should have still gotten that job. So you shouldn't have to worry.
Yeah.
If you're good at what you're doing, it shouldn't matter. Men, women, whatever color you are, whatever your sexual orientation is, it does not matter. If you're good at what you do, you should have the job.
I think that a lot of times it's because, like, maybe they realize, like, maybe someone got put into a position of power and they were like, I am actually so tired of being the only racially or anything diverse in this place. And so it really was just to magnify, like, those people. Like, you don't have to be the only brown person in the room because our rules say that there should be X amount of brown people in the room. Obviously, it's not ideal. It should have never been that way to begin with.
Guys, why do we have to have DEI? It's because of the system already in place. Let's
Right.
not forget who put us in this position.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be mad that people are trying to even the playing field, even if it's not the way that we want it to be, because of the system that's already being put in place. This is the same thing with sports and women. Hey, I take sports management classes. I'm so serious. I walked through one of my classes last year. There was 3 women in the class. It's a class of like 25.
Oh, wow.
There was 3 women. And this might have nothing to do with it. Maybe it does. In the top 5 people in class for grades, the top 2 were women, and like 4th or 5th was the other woman. All 3 of them. Guess what? One of them was me.
I was going to ask.
I was in that class. And I'm not saying this to toot my own horn. I'm saying every woman in that class already knows they're at a disadvantage in sports. And every one of us knows it's competitive. So we're going to put ourselves in a position to be the best. Because you have to be if you're going to get it. Hey, I was ranked 1st. And the other one was ranked 2nd. It was either that or we were tied for the best grades in class. And that is because we did all of our projects together with 2 other guys. Everybody. to make sure we were on top of everything, to make sure we understood, to make sure, hey, if we need a letter of recommendation from this professor, if we need their information, like, we're on top of it. And it also, hey, guess who were the 2 other slots in the top 5? The 2 guys who worked with us. Because we had different viewpoints on sports, which gave us a more diversified kind of projects from different viewpoints. If I don't want to see a project where every single person has the exact same opinion. It was the same way. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, that was how it was for most of them.
Yeah.
Because it's just a group of, I also say this, I'm pretty sure 90% of the class was white, if not more.
Yeah. And I do want to just make this point, too. I know we did mention race a lot. So I know we did mention race a lot. I seen this thing that made me think, and I was kind of thinking about how it's not, at the end of the day, we can say, like, race is this, race is that, race contributes to this and that and all these things, because it really does. But I think that as soon as people step aside and they step back and they realize that race isn't as much of an issue, but it more is to take a certain class of people and not only keep them divided enough for them not to make any changes, but it also keeps them hating each other.
Yes, we talked about this yesterday when we were talking to each other. What was the example we used? It was a really good one too, guys. I wish I could remember. I
don't know.
Well, we'll just use DEI as an example. It pits, I would have to assume, not only people who are in some sort of group of minority versus the majority, which tends to be cis white men, cis straight white men, pits them against each other both directions, but also the different sets of minorities who are fighting for those DEI kind of positions of, you have blah, blah, that makes it easier for you. It also pits minorities against each other.
Yeah.
It pits women against women in situations. I can't speak on anything else beyond that because I haven't experienced it, but, like, I also know, like, hey, man, sometimes I am directly fighting a woman in class because it's like, well, I need, like, to this, and, like, I'm fighting you because, like, we're on the same. Let's not forget why we're here. Let's not forget who put us in this position to fight. Let's not forget who set up the system where it can only be this certain amount of people. It can only be one of the groups of minority. Because I didn't put it in place.
Right, and as soon as we stop fighting each other and we start fighting the systems that we put in place, then we'll realize that we all kind of are experiencing a lot of the same things. And if you don't experience a lot of the same things, it's probably because you have some kind of privilege, whether that's being, like, financially stable or even more than financially stable, or whatever the privilege may be. And privilege has such a negative, like, connotation to it, and it's not. Privilege is just simply something that you have that makes it easier for you to do certain things. And as long as you, and if you keep fighting against the fact that you have privilege, I think that people just take it as, like, such a bad thing, and it's like, it's not really a bad thing. You think that we, like, are, like, saying it's a bad thing. You don't think that we're saying it just for the simple fact of we wish that we had it. Like, what do you mean? So there's a lot of things that, there's just a lot of things that go into just kind of the society that we live in. And I think that at some point voters, or at some point people were just informed that, or at some point people were persuaded by something, I'm not quite sure what exactly, that they should vote against their own interests and they should vote against their own people, and everybody should be selfish, and it's not about the better good of everybody. It's about you and your independence and your success and what you own and what you can do. And I think that we've lost that sense of community as a nation, and I don't know how to get it back, but I think just reminding people that you have to have empathy, that you have to be a decent person, even if it hurts.
Yeah, it's gonna. Hey guys, being a good person was easy, we would not be in this situation. And I will also say this: treating everybody with respect as people goes both ways. Whether or not you're on the right side of things or the wrong side of things, or if you're liberal or conservative, if you're being horrible to the other side, you are making this worse. It is harder to respect your opposition. And that is what we should strive to do. I have people in my life who we have very differing opinions on a lot of things. And I let them know, I'm like, I do disagree with that. And it's okay to disagree with things. You shouldn't agree on everything.
Right.
I also respect them as human beings and people and having that right to make those decisions as long as it's not going against someone else's rights to be a person.
Well, I used to know somebody that had literally way opposite opinions of me, and I think once they were challenged with facts or challenged with questions, and I don't know if they thought it was condescending, but I simply would be like, "How would that work?" or "What do you mean by that?" or are you talking about this? What kind of example can you give me?" Some kind of clarification, and they were right on the defense immediately, and it was that's odd. And they immediately go to insulting, if you think that, that's just stupid, or if you really believe that, then you're just dumb, or literally quotes of conversations I've had before.
Which is hard. Hey, I know at the beginning of this podcast, I definitely said, what was it? If you use AI, you're lame.
Was it?
I did say that.
Something about something.
There's something about that.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure I said that. Hey, I probably shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
Even though I do think I'm correct and I know I have facts. Obviously, I said it for a reason I think it's correct.
Yeah.
That is not the correct way. And
But
is
nobody
me
was
learning.
combating
Yeah.
you. You weren't
But it's a direct,
directly
But it's
offending.
almost like a reaction where you're like,
Yeah.
I have to put these people down in some way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's horrible. And we learn and we grow from that. And it's okay to, hey, make mistakes and
Yeah.
acknowledge that and try to move forward doing better.
Yeah, I can tell you why I put certain people down. Certain groups of people down. But honestly, it really has nothing to do with them. It has to do with me and what I think of and what I connect them to and my experiences with them. They literally have no control over it. It's how I've seen their actions, how I've interpreted them, and how I've decided to feel about them, and I stick to that. So, yeah, you can, I don't know, you literally can develop opinions about anything, and you don't have to agree to understand. You don't have to listen to just respond. You can listen to listen. And there's a bunch of different things that you can do to kind of help this political climate at least advance a little more. I think we should be talking to conservatives. I think we should be talking to Democrats. I think we should be talking to independents. I think we should be asking them why and how you got there, and what can we do to change it if we must, or not change it if we shouldn't. Or,
Yeah. You don't have to agree. You shouldn't agree on everything because that's not how you grow. But what you have to do is respect that people are doing what they think is best. And how do we reach a situation somewhere in the center where we can figure out what works for the majority? Don't be a dick. Do your own research. Be respectful to your opposition.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, every side loves this country.
We would not be doing this if we didn't.
For the most part, every side loves this country. I'm not quite sure independents. I don't know many of them. But for the most part, at the end of the day, both sides love this country. And they're doing what they think is best for this country. And if you're being fed things to make you think that this country is being taken over by illegal immigrants, and that the criminals are being flooded into this country from the southern border, and that the drugs are being pumped in here like air, if you are made to believe those things, that is one thing. And if you think that that's really contributing to the decline of some parts of this country, then I understand. But do I agree? I don't agree. Because I think at the end of the day, people love this country. However you interpret the problems that this country has, or whatever solutions you propose to this country, needs to have some kind of background knowledge. It needs to be able to identify biases and be able to identify just plain hatred nowadays. And if you can't explain why you can't go up to your great-grandmother and tell her she shouldn't have come to this country the way she did, or you can't go in and tell your girlfriend's grandma or your girlfriend's dad that he shouldn't be in this country or he did it the wrong way, but behind closed doors you're voting for those policies, it's kind of hypocritical. And people just need to realize everyone says they love this country. You need to do what you can to help save it if you feel like it needs saving. So everybody's a person, and everybody's life brings some kind of value, whether it's a value to teach you what not to do, a value to teach you what to do, or a value for whatever other reason.
Yeah. If you love this country, the country is the people in it. And the country is the people trying to be a part of it. So that means you love them too. And sometimes it's hard. And sometimes a lot of those people make you angry, or you're scared, or however you feel negatively towards them. Sometimes it's hard on both sides. They're a part of this country and you love this country. And that is what makes this country. So let's find a way to make sure that the people of this country and trying to be able to be a part of this amazing country and get this opportunity get a chance to love it too.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, we can really dwindle it down that a lot of people are mad that it's easy for others or mad that other people get to and they don't. So because it was harder for you or because it continues to be harder for you, you don't want other people to get that help, whether that's free healthcare, whether that's food stamps, whatever other public service. If you're mad that people are getting it because you have to pay for it, you're only mad because it's hard to lose that money to something like that, because it's hard to make ends meet. You're only mad because you have to pay for your own food. You're only mad because you have to pay for your own health care. You're only mad because it's more difficult for you than for other people. And really, that's not their fault. Again, that's the system's fault. That's the systems that have been put in place. Until you start asking questions, you're not going to really get answers. So, but yeah, I think that wraps it up for this episode. It was supposed to be a mini episode, but we are yappers for sure.
We are big yappers. We also see each other in the office a lot, so
yeah, definitely.
We're chit-chatters.
Chit-chatters.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, it was a pleasure to have you. It was a really good conversation. It lasted really long, and I think that you did a great job, and I'm really happy to have your perspective. I will continue to keep asking you about sports.
Yeah, guys, hey, sports are important.
Yep.
Personally to me, but also to a lot of people. I'm keeping up to date with these.
Yeah,
so,
nice.
Guys, you should too. They're actually pretty banger. I've been putting people on it.
Yeah, a lot of times I get a lot of people that are like, this was on your podcast, or hey, what about this? And I'm like, watch the podcast, we talked about it, or we mentioned that, or hey, if you want to see more, watch the podcast. But if you guys want to see more, make sure you like and subscribe, follow us on Poli-Pop Talk on Instagram, and have a great time. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, guys.
Bye.
Go follow us. Go follow us on all of our social medias and go check out our podcast. It's super cool, guys. I promise.